Today we're going to be talking about the second season of You, the new Netflix original series. So let's get started. What's up everybody, Justin Watching Movies here. Today we're going to talk about the second season of You, which was picked up by Netflix instead of going to Lifetime like the first season of You did. This second season review will contain spoilers for the first season of You. If you have not seen the first season of You, it is on Netflix now. Definitely check it out. It is a really gripping show. The second season follows Joe Goldberg, who is on the run from his sordid past. Upon taking a trip to Los Angeles, he quickly settles in the city with a different persona and finally meets his love match, the chef and health guru, Love Quinn. As Joe attempts to forge a new life with the love of his dreams, will he truly escape the horrors of his past, or will the history repeat itself again? I just binged the first season of You on Netflix. I wanted to see this show before, and I just never got around to it. I'm trying to do more Netflix reviews for you guys. And so when I heard that there was going to be a second season of You, I thought, okay, it's perfect time to watch the first season. And I just binged that show. It was such a gripping show that I always found so captivating. And watching Joe try to wiggle his way out of any scenario, I found to be really fascinating. So I was really looking forward to the second season and what they would do with some of the characters from the first season. Spoiler, after Beck had died, what would they do with Joe? Candace is back. How is she going to be in the second season? There was a lot of it that I was really curious of what they were going to do. The second season does follow that same format from the first season. There's a glass box that he keeps someone in. He falls in love again with someone. He just wiggles his way into their life. He gets involved in people's lives that he really doesn't need to be into. A lot of it's the same thing from the first season. But there is some new stuff that happens within Joe's life that I did find to be kind of pointless at times. He does meet a young girl named Ellie, who's played by Jenna Ortega, who is 15 years old, and she loves cinema, and she gets involved with this really popular celebrity named Henderson, who is played by Chris D'Elia. Joe wants to be like a father figure to her. He wants to protect her. He gives her a cell phone that he has put an app on where he could see her text messages. And Aaliyah's older sister, and she doesn't want Joe around her younger sister at all. So Joe is trying to get involved in their life, trying to protect Ellie against Henderson, who may be doing certain things to her that Joe may not find appropriate. And I think this side story didn't really do much for Joe's relationship with Love. Where the first season there was minor side stories with him and Paco and him and Peach, and always seemed to focus on Joe and Beck in the first season. A lot of the show in the second season seems to focus on Joe and Ellie and their relationship. And then part of his relationship with Love doesn't seem to be strengthened as much about first half of the second season. Joe splits his time between Love and Ellie as well, and doing what Joe does best. Lying about everything, inserting himself into people's lives, sneaking around. And what I liked about the first season, and I like about the second season as well, it's always fun to watch Joe try to get out of a scenario that he put himself into, lie out of it, avoid the cops, avoid getting caught for whatever he's doing. Joe is a horrible, horrible person, but I liked those moments of trying to watch him wiggle his way out of it. I found it very interesting in seeing the lies that he could come up with and try to get out of it. Although I did find this show to be the same kind of format for the first season, it still is really gripping. We did see at the end of the first season that Candace is back, and I was wondering how she would be in the second season. And once she comes into play, about middle part of the second season, it becomes even more gripping. She's learning what Joe did, and she's using that to her advantage. It's just as fascinating as watching Joe try to lie about his life as well. So Candace was someone that we only saw in flashbacks really for the first season, so we learned a lot more about her in the second season. I find her to be a really interesting character. A lot of things that happened in her past, so she has like every right to do what she's doing. We do learn a lot more about Joe's life growing up, and at times I guess it makes him a more relatable character, and you kind of understand his insecurities. It doesn't forgive everything that he's done in the past, but you learn more about his father, his mother, him as a younger child, the relationship, and his insecurities now and the way that he acts now. It adds a lot of depth to the character. With Candace and Joe in this show, it does become like a dark psychological thriller. Joe at times is afraid of Candace and what she may do, and it provides a different side to Joe as well. And those side stories with Joe and Ellie and Delilah provide a different side of Joe. He wants to be a little more protective in his own way, but he wants to do good. You can tell that he has this intention of doing something good for people. And even early on in the show, he says that he doesn't want to do what he did in the first season with Beck. He wants to be a good person. He doesn't want to fall in love right away. Once he does meet love, he forgets about everything and just gives it all into her. I do like Beck a little more. I think that the relationship was a little bit stronger, and I think that the relationship between Love and Joe is not as strong as Beck's relationship with Joe because of those side stories and that the show focuses on a little too much. It takes away from their relationship and overall being a strong story. But overall, I was completely enthralled with season 2 of You. I think there's a lot of times that they did the show right. I think there could have been a less focus on certain storylines and a little more focus on other storylines to make them a little bit stronger. It's still as good as its predecessor, and it's definitely a binge-worthy show. I'm going to go ahead and give You Season 2 a B+. You Season 2 is on Netflix now. Definitely check it out. Check out the first season if you have not seen it. It is a great show. I highly recommend this show. My name is Just Watch Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.